Who is in charge? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Who's at the wheel of the ship is drifting, but the captain's at a party. Pretoria answer the call, like it gone to sleep. Adam Gardner stand tall in the harbor of Durban. The seal ships ride, the ANC plays a game of seek and hide. They call for the exercise in like the east wind, and point a paging and say they're the ones who sin. Joram was on the nest, I guess at the gate. Now they say who invited them, it must have been fake. Confusion in the Union building, shadows on the wall. Now the truth gets buried in the marble hall. Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it the suit in the office or the gun in hand? Oh, that from the Congo mud to the Pretoria street, the drums of the rock start to skip a beat. No boots for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the dollar on the boat, take a rest. And she speaks of an inquiry, a code to be won, but the days turn to weeks and the paper is torn. No answers coming down as the heavy silence, while the heroes in the bush face no rebel violence. Sent to the jungle with no wings in the sky, only 3 helicopters, how can they fly? No medevac coming when they let us to rain. Chased by the rebels, oh the pride and the pain. No uniform, no boot, no boots, oh wait, look at the budget for the big salute. P7, 2 million for retirement spree. Modern Navy is sinking beneath the sea. Not a submarine moving, not a sailor in sight, but the body lights are burning to the Pretoria night. The chief of defense, he's a law to himself. The commander of the Navy puts the stay on the self, defying the colonial, ignoring the sir, while the ghost of the fly start to wake and to stir. And what's this whisper? What's this dark news? The chairman charged with murder, and he's the one they choose. Promoted to the side, for the dockets go forward. Is this the new story that's being told? Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it Siren? Is it Angie? Does Ronnie understand? Oh, from the town hall but to the Pretoria street, the drums of the ropes are to skip a beat. No boost for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the tenor on the moat. In the rest, the generals are dancing, the politicians are glancing, the money is vanishing, and the soldiers are wandering. Who's the boss? Siren. Who's the boss? Anki. The military's gone rogue in the sun. The parade has only just begun.
Leave the cape behind. There's a brand new horizon for us to find. From the streets of Joburg to the Pretoria sun, a new chapter starting and it's just begun. It's not Santon, baby, and it's not Margate. We're trading the reef for the Lone Star State. No JRUN or the South Fork crew, just a red, white, and blue welcome waiting for you. From Bosnia's hills to the Botswana sand, he's carried the fire all across the land. A life for the flag, for the faith, for the free. Now he's opening the gates for you and for me. Oh, get ready for the colonials, Texas meet and greet, where the Southers and the Patriots all dance in the street. Under the eagle's wings, where the spirit flies high, underneath that big old Dallas sky. peace in the heart of the West. No more looking back at the shadows and gloom. In the land of the brave, there is plenty of room. Grab a plate, grab a hand, feel the Texas heat. There's a whole lot of love at this meet and greet. The colonel is coming, yeah, he's leading the way to the greatest nation where we're gonna stay. Service and honor, moral and just, promise of freedom. We put our trust from the Southern Cross to the bright Lone Star. We know who we are, we know who we are. Get ready for the Colonel's Texas meet and greet, where the Southers and the Patriots all dance in the street. Under the eagle's wings, where the spirit flies high, underneath that big old Dallas sky. It's camaraderie, it's liberty, it's a brand new day. South Africa, welcome to the USA. The Colonel's in town, yeah, he's in town. In the Lone Star State, don't be late. From the bushveld to the bayou, welcome home, welcome home.
Marvin,
Welcome home, welcome home.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back. It is Tuesday night, the 3rd of February, 2026. And you've tuned in for Night Owls here from our studios live in central Pennsylvania. Not for much longer. Soon we'll be live from Dallas. South Fork, J.R. Ewing. Who shot J.R.? Wasn't me. I was just a kid. Now, who shot J.R.? Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say hello. Now, who shot J.R.? Well, sound is pretty good. Okay, good to go. Okay, all right. Just make sure that's not too low. Okay, all right. Just make sure that's not too low. Okay, it's fine. Okay, good. All right, how's it going? Welcome. So, a big Texas meet and greet coming up here, folks. Really looking forward to it, and it'll be followed by others. Tentatively have one planned for Vegas, baby. Las Vegas. Heading out to Las Vegas as well for a meet and greet. Looking at some other potential meet and greets here. So, Florida seems like a place I'm going to have to put on the radar screen because it seems like we got a lot of folks down there in Florida. So, yeah. Anyway, looking forward to that. That reminds me, I need to write to, yes, okay. Yep, anyway, so. Yes, DA do have a history of underwhelming press conferences. They make these big announcements and nothing happens. So are we being punked? That's the question. I did a short earlier. I did look to see if anybody actually watched it. Let me see. So, well, not a lot of people watched it. Apparently, it's not getting much traction. That's strange. My shorts usually do very well, and it's got nothing. Wow, any comments on it? I love the beard. Okay. Steenhuisen will join the PA, maybe. Someone says he's more famous than the DA. He'll form a new political party. No, he hasn't. My goodness. Hill Lewis, another kamikaze pilot. DA is finished. Not only embarrass themselves, but their voters, their former voters. Yep. Yep. The DA's coming. ANC's useful idiot. Who's going to miss me and everything positive? Should be jailed for incompetence, betraying the farmers. Good riddance. Just wonder who will be paying for his lunches. Wow. Zilla can't be trusted as long as she's hiding, covering up. She should hide her head in shame. Goodbye, DA. Wow. Not a lot of views on that. I'm a bit shocked about that. The last two had 14,000, 10,000, 26,000, and that one gets just 2,159. That's underwhelming performance. My short performed like John Steenhuisen. Underwhelming. there you go. We were supposed to make a song about this. I got my new song. Got my new song, folks. Trump signed the end of the famine. Yes, the shutdown is over, but only for 13 days for Homeland Security. Everyone else, the government should be financed now through the rest of the year. So that should take care of it. Yep, except for Homeland Security. And unlike the last shutdown, people kept coming. We had people land tonight. By the way, absolute crisis going on here, folks. So they send refugees and they send them to foreign countries. This is why we use U.S. carriers. I've told you from the outset, the normal way we do this, if U.S. carriers are available, we use U.S. carriers. Why do we do that? Because number one, we get the best rate because U.S. has a government guaranteed contracted rate. They can cancel at any time up to the moment the flight occurs. They can, even if it cancels after, they get their money back, I believe. But they buy in bulk. The U.S. government takes priority, so other people can be canceled for U.S. government tickets. Even if you're a refugee, someone can be bumped from a flight because the government has priority with their tickets. I know. I was a service member in Stuttgart many, many years ago, flying back from Stuttgart to the States, and I got bumped up to business class, or first, was it business or first class? Yeah, I think it was first class because the plane was completely full, except they had seats in first class, and I had a government ticket, so they put me in the first class seat rather than leave an empty seat in the plane, because they had to fly me. If they didn't put me in first class, they would have put me in economy where I had a seat, and they would have had to bump someone else, and they would have lost money. So, yeah, so the government does that. We also have control. U.S. carriers have to follow U.S. government directions. They have to follow them. Now, we put people on other carriers, it runs a risk. They have contracted things too, but they aren't controlled. The U.S. government can't pull their aviation license. They can keep from landing America, but not going to do it over one seat being bumped or something happening. But we had a flight of refugees that flew on Lufthansa yesterday, and I've not been talking about this because I know what the Ferrayas will do about this. But anyway, I talked about this. I have no choice but to talk about it now because it's people know it. The cat's out of the bag. Yes, refugees are flying on air carriers other than simply United and Delta. They've also flown on Air France and on Lufthansa. Last night, a flight left and went, night before, last night, and flew from South Africa to Frankfurt, and apparently there's heavy snow in Frankfurt. The flight couldn't get out, so after they've been there for several hours, I start getting frantic messages from people from groups, and these are obviously people, I'm really getting pissed off about all these people that clearly don't watch my program, but then I wind up getting the labor coming from. It's really getting frustrating and annoying. So these people are in Frankfurt trapped, and then I get contacted by one of my moderators, then another moderator, then someone who is helpful but not a moderator about these people, and I get the number from one of them, and I reach out to these people, and then they send me things. They send me pictures of their anyway. It's very frustrating. Bottom line is this: is that no one contacted any of the case management officers for these refugees in the States, so they were due to arrive today. Right? So they would have left Frankfurt and arrived. Let me see. When would they left Frankfurt? Or no, they would arrive tomorrow morning. They would have arrived tomorrow morning on the 4th in the States, but they're not going to arrive tomorrow morning. They're going to arrive the next day. And it's very confusing because the idiots from Lufthansa, when their flight was rebooked all these people, regardless of where they're going in the country, they rebooked them from Frankfurt to Chicago. Okay, that's the flight. That's the plane they've got. They'll fly them to Chicago. I get that. So they're going to Chicago, but from Chicago they booked every one of these people, no matter where they're going in the country, to Washington D.C. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? It doesn't make any sense. I saw tickets and boarding passes from several passengers in the group of 30 refugees that are in Frankfurt, stranded at this hour, and they're all booked to Washington D.C. One of them is going to Kansas, one of them is going to Utica, one of them is going somewhere else. None of them are going to Washington D.C. Chicago is the second busiest airport on the planet, or third busiest at this point. O'Hare used to be the busiest in the world. And we're booking people to go to D.C., to rebook to go to Utica, to go to Kansas. What the hell is going on there? Anyway, so no one had informed anybody at the stage I got involved. So it was hard to explain to these. I don't understand who briefs these people either. I had to explain this a dozen times to the refugees, who obviously are probably distraught. They're a fish out of water. They don't know where they're at. They don't know what's going on. And so I had to explain this. I said, please send me a photograph of the page with your case number and with your agent's number. And they're sending me emails. They're sending me emails from RSC. RSC is no longer part of your process. RSC finishes with you when you get on the plane. You don't deal with them ever again, to my knowledge. So once you're on a plane, someone should have briefed you at the processing center in South Africa, and they're not doing their job. This is what happens if you get turned around. This is what happens if you get stranded en route, if there's a delay or cancellation of flight. This is what happens. This is where you're entitled to. This is where you go. For instance, I would have told these people, I would have said to these people, you are flying Lufthansa to Frankfurt. From there, your flight goes to Chicago. From there, you're going to go onward. All right? Now, I don't know if they ever got a boarding pass from Chicago to their end destination, or if that was supposed to be issued when they got to the States. That's possible. That happens sometimes. So that's possible. But whatever the case is, they should have said, okay, so you're going to Frankfurt. It's Germany. You can't leave the airport. You have a 9-hour layover, okay? Stay in the airport because you're not going into Germany. You're just transient. Okay. If your flight is delayed or it is canceled and gets rebooked, go to the desk, the ticket desk for Lufthansa, and have them rebook your flight. Tell them where you're going. Show them your passport. Tell them your status. You can then reach out to your case officer back in the United States, provided it's working hours. Keep that in mind. You're 6, 7, 8, 9 hours ahead of them being in Germany. Call them during business hours or send them a text message to the number and say that your flight's delayed. This is what a proper thing would have done. Also, if you're in Frankfurt, you're not going to be able to use Rand. You're not going to be able to use dollar unless you want to convert it at a rip-off airport rate, if there's even an exchange place, because the Frankfurt airport is huge. So have a credit card. Anyway, this is a proper briefing. These people never got any such briefing. So I had to explain this over and over again. I'm looking for the piece of paper, and finally I got the piece of paper. And then the lady sent me the boarding passes upside down like this. Well, I can't read like that. I can't turn my head like that. So I had to download every image from WhatsApp and then go into a program, convert it, turn it around so it's a different shape so I could read it. And then all I find out is they don't even have tickets to their final destination. So she sent me the next group family. They didn't have tickets to their final destination. All of them going to Washington, D.C. Even that family's going to Utica. This one's going to Buffalo. This one's going to Kansas. And none of them have a final boarding pass. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So I call 3 agents. 2 of them automatic voicemail. Never call me back. Pricks. Never call me back. Useless refugee agencies. Maybe they're not useless, but, answer your phone. You've got refugees around the world who need help, and they contact you, and what they get? What do they get? They get automatic voicemail. I reached one refugee case officer in Utica, and I explained to him what was going on, and he said, "Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that." And I said, he said something about, I know who you are. I said, you know who I am? Yeah, didn't you go to Rochester recently? I said, yes, I did go to Rochester. He goes, yeah, do you know so-and-so? And it's a refugee that's in Utica. I said, I don't know them personally, but the name sounds familiar. He goes, yeah, she's told me all about you. She gave me a link to your videos. Yeah, you're all over this refugee situation. I'm like, yeah. So I said, and I started telling him, I said, yeah, I went to Rochester to Church World Service. I said, they don't like me. I have unconfirmed rumors, so I got nothing from Church World Services. But refugees are claiming that the Church World Service is under investigation, the Rochester office. Well, I hope they are. The Klopper, I don't know if he's stepping down to put all his energy in agriculture, which is what he should have done from the very beginning. Never should have been a minister and leader of the party. I said that from the outset. Anyway, so that's what's been going on. So my day, I haven't even packed yet. So I'm flying Thursday. That's not tomorrow, but the next day. But I'm flying early in the morning, so I have to go to the airport at 4:30 in the morning. So I still unpack my bag. I still got to download videos. I still got to down backup drives. I've got to get my microphones together. Yeah, I've still got a lot to do, and I haven't got around to because I've been busy taking care of other people. Still haven't filed my taxes. Oh, and my trip to Vegas, which I want to do in April, is going to have to be moved to March, which is going to mean the weather won't be as nice because of a work college commitment. So they finally gave me the dates, and then they moved the dates on me. I had tentative dates. Now they've moved them on me. So the date I wanted to go, it's right in the middle of when I'm doing the event. The date that I had as the backup date is when they moved their first week to. So that's out. So I have to go even earlier. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, so the Vegas trip, looking at that, and we'll see what comes up after that. Anyway, so Alex is in from Ohio. Arnold Nevling, Veroshka, Emerencio Quinn, Sloth Puppy, CB, Gordon Graham, Kathy's here. Hey, Kathy. Anna Kruger. Hey, Anna. Trippy, Dogzilla, AJ Quinn, Charles Edward Cook. 60. Wow, that's very nice. 60 is quite lovely. It is 27 degrees here, Dogzilla. It's actually warmer than it has been. In the neighborhood, there are 5 houses in this neighborhood, about 38 houses that have solar panels, mine being one of them. But mine are only on the west side of the property, so they don't get much sun during the morning. They just get a little bit, they get most of it from midday onwards. So for a week, 9 days, no solar power. 4 inches of snow covering the panels. Finally, yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, a bunch of snow slid off this side. And today, driving through the neighborhood, I looked at everyone's panels. I'm the only house that, because I guess the tilt of the roof and the type of panels, because they're more newer ones, they're thinner. I'm the only house that now has clean panels. 90% of my panels have no snow on them. And today, I don't know if they generate power. Let's see what they generate today. Yesterday, got 10, but today it was cloudy. We had snow, so I don't think we got much today. Maybe a kilowatt or two. Oh, no, I got 10 kilowatts. There you go. 10 kilowatts, because the sun came out twice for about an hour or 2 hours each today. So yeah, so there you go. 22 already this month. So yeah, and I'm getting closer to that elusive 20 megawatts of power generated. It's taken 2.5 years to get there. So yeah, but solar is not the answer, despite what the green lunatics try to tell you. No one else is getting solar power except me now in the neighborhood. Well, cold weather is here. Cold weather is in Texas. It had snow flurries today, but didn't snow. It was supposed to get 5 inches of snow on Friday, but I won't really care because I'll be in Texas by then, as long as Texas doesn't get 5 inches. Okay, I don't care about the weather in Texas. I want to go through Saturday or Sunday staying lovely for the other people who want to come to meet and greet. I mean, I can deal with snow. I mean, I can handle that, but other people don't. Well, the Super Bowl, the Patriots and San Francisco, two of the teams I despise the most in the National Football League. Both made it to the Super Bowl, but at least Brady's not playing for for Patriots anymore, or Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers, so that makes them a little more tolerable. But I went and bought a 65-inch television for a veterans organization and set it up tonight so that people could actually watch the Super Bowl there. Anyway, thing of nouns: Loretta, Sally, Bex, El Marie. I think I missed a few people. Sorry about Christoph and Arda. Xavier Grayling, Gordon Hill Lewis has never had to manage coalitions. Cape Town inherited the best run metro and he hasn't proven himself. I agree. Nothing against Gordon Hill Lewis, but he hasn't cut his teeth. He doesn't have the gravitas. Alan Winde is an evil politician who does exactly what politicians do and could probably run the party well, but I wouldn't trust him for a microsecond. Khasigi, what's up? Okay. Yes, I'll be back for Steenhuisen's announcement. And no, I won't be sleeping much. This broadcast, I'll take a nap after this. I watched The Maltese Falcon earlier, kind of drifted off a little bit. Then I was watching North by Northwest. I like those older films. Cary Grant is my cousin, by the way. I mean, I don't know personally. He obviously passed away, but he's a cousin, a generation removed. And, yep, we're related. Cary Grant. Anna Lee. Future looks bright. Ronaldo mentioned yesterday he signed up 30 new members, all of whom were DA voters produced. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Dogzilla's out of here. Okay. Oh, Jesus. He just cannot help himself. Dogzilla, you're going to get just timed out forever. You keep your crap up, I think people should just not worry about Dogzilla. What time is this? 10:34. I'm going to go back a little ways and delete that message. Just can't help himself. You're on a political commentary channel and you're telling people not to care about politics. Piss off. Colonel Mays put so much in bringing us the news, interviews, analysis, never taken for granted, respect. Well, thank you, Sloth Puppy. An OG, you are. Yeah, no, I do. I mean, whether it's the macadamia nut industry or it's racism or it's politics, it's language, it's culture. I mean, today I interviewed Theo von. How'd that go, by the way? How many views? It didn't have a lot when we started. Maybe it got better. Let me see. Well, not as good as my news report. Wow, that's a bit surprising. 3,100 views. Wow. You'd think Foot and Mouth used to get a lot of attention from people, but it doesn't. Only 48 comments, 3,000 views. My news broadcast, by contrast, had 4,800 views. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, yeah, so I'm very surprised by how few views that short got. I did also publish a video earlier about employment opportunities for South Africans. Now, again, if you read what I say, I'm sure I'm going to be attacked by some hate wanker somewhere, but let me read to you what I said about this video. Hang on, let me just get to it here. for you on YouTube. Here we go. Okay, so Marble Life. Okay, that's what this is. Now, these people contacted me a while back and said that they'd like to offer job opportunities for South Africans. So I said here that sharing information about a company called Marble Life that's looking to hire South African refugees in the U.S., offering promising job opportunities and employments. While I have no affiliation with Marble Life, I believe in helping refugees find work and providing a refugee update for those seeking opportunities. This initiative aims at helping refugees integrate and build new lives. I'm sure someone will accuse me of 11 dislikes. Are you serious? 11 dislikes. What the hell is wrong with people? You dislike someone being told there's a job opportunity? What kind of retard dislikes this? Wow. What kind of retard says that? 11 dislikes. That's insane. Seriously? I got 11 dislikes in this video. What a bunch of retarded hate wankers. Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Several weeks ago, I was contacted by South Africans who own a business here in the United States, apparently a rather large business, and they said they would soon be prepared to hire South African refugees in the U.S. So, I have no tie to this organization. I do not endorse them. I have nothing bad or good to say about them. I'm just sharing information that's made available to me. The company is called Marble Life, and they're seeking South Africans who are refugees in the United States so they can employ them to give you a good opportunity to get started to a good life over here. As I said, looking to recruit South Africans who would be keen to work as technicians or sales reps in the field. Their specialty is restoration of marble, granite, Caesar stone, terrazzo, concrete, epoxy floors, and counters. I gotta be honest, I don't really know what Caesar stone is. I think I know what it is, but I'm not entirely sure what that is. But willing applicants will receive technical training on restorative processes and will be supervised in on-the-job training to improve their skill and productivity before they can even venture out on their own. So don't worry about it if you don't know anything about it. They're gonna train you on how to do the job. Now, they'll provide a company vehicle and also expenses. And you must be willing to travel and work on team projects across the United States. So if you don't like travel, this might not be for you. The resumes can be sent to the email you see on the screen here, office-delawarevalley@marblelife.com. That email address is office-delawarevalley@marblelife.com. Attention, Nicole. Make sure you put attention, Nicole. Now, she'd like to have online interviews with prospective candidates, and at the moment, they're looking for candidates in Jacksonville, Florida, here in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, and New York. I hope you find this useful information. Again, I do not endorse, I have nothing positive or negative to say about the organization. I just know that they contacted me some time ago, and they're now prepared to begin hiring people who are South African refugees. So, if you fit the bill, if you're looking for a job, if you live in Jacksonville or somewhere around there, or here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, or you want to locate one of those places, maybe you should send them an email. All right, folks, thanks a lot. Take care. God bless. So, look, I don't even, there's very few videos I don't these days put monetization on because YouTube monetizes everything. And I don't want them to get money. But that one there, I didn't even monetize that. And I got 11 dislikes. What a bunch of sad, pathetic losers to do that. Wow, that is just next level stupid. Why would anyone dislike that? And by the way, so it's much lower than my normal performance because I didn't monetize it. This is what happens when you don't monetize a video. Do you see that gray area? Look at this. After 8 hours, 6,000 views. I'm well behind a normal performance. Normal performance would have had this up around about 18,000 by now. And so I've got less than a third of the normal views I get because I didn't monetize it. But I'm not trying, I'm just trying to share with people. And I get 11 dislikes. It's funny. What a bunch of losers. By the way, dislikes, whatever. I mean, dislikes, that's interaction. That drives the algorithm. So, but, oh my gosh, there is some serious hate wankers out there. How in the world could anybody be unhappy about that video? What, you don't like the music? You don't like the background? You don't like how sexy I am? You don't like my glasses? What do you don't like straight people? You don't like white people? You don't like Christians? Like, man, what's the problem? Yeah, I don't know about groups. I would stay at any groups. I don't know what Professor she's talking about. Support groups. How is a support group for under review going to help you? What, are you going to commiserate with other people who are angry and pissed off? That's not going to help you. I wouldn't join something like that. Do what you want to do. It's your life, but I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Do what you want to do. Steenhuisen get tickets. Well, we don't know. Let's talk about John Steenhuisen now. Be sure to hit the like button, folks, if you haven't done already. Have we got any likes on this thing? 119 out of 195 currently here. 519 have visited. Anyway, so, yeah, that's just shocking. Let's see what the Sowetan has to say about John Steenhuisen's blunders. Yeah, Cyril's big blunder. Yeah, we got that one, right? Cyril's big blunder. That's more music I got to get set up. There it is. You guys know Cyril's big blunder.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Serious times down in Johannesburg. Watch the fire now. Listen. The horns. Oh, yeah. The stage was set. The lights were low for the big G20 show. Leaders coming from across the sea.
Yeah, but the G20's over. DA leader John Steenhuisen is said to have committed a series of blunders which resulted in the loss of confidence by party heavyweights as well as funders, insiders say. Whatever could those big blunders be? John's big blunder. We got Cyril's big blunder. Now it's John's big blunder. We do a country song for John's big blunders. Let's see. There's the $150,000 judgment because he's a deadbeat on his credit card. His party credit card was taken away from him. His failure as a leader of the party to do anything about Bella, NHI, EWC, the black tax, shall I go on? His neglect of the foot and mouth disease has been on forever. His promise to find the money from the missing funds from 15 years ago that went to the Undersport, which has just evaporated. No movement there, ignoring the foot and mouth disease. And now the latest is he's become a vessel for ANC, radical economic transformation, racial revenge politics by excluding white, colored, and Indian farmers from the European Union trade deal to send agricultural products to the EU. First off, by excluding white commercial farmers, you can't even meet the agreed targets that let South African goods get into the European Union, which means it's an intentional effort to force white commercial farmers to give up their property or sell or give a majority stake in their property to someone who's black based on the color of their skin. The racism here is palpable. The fact that it comes from this pink, pale, Uber Eats fellow is really disgusting. Yeah, he's the South African Keir Starmer. Yep, the little wannabe. Let's read what the Sowetan has to say. Lizika Tandwa, what she has to say. Insiders said while Steenhuisen received resounding endorsement from DA's funders, they had retreated from this decision over the past few months. One insider said the funders are now seeking new face to lead the country. Shouldn't manage to gain enough votes when parties negotiate. They won't gain any votes. The DA is dead. It's a dead man walking. It may keep the same level it's at, but even that's highly questionable. It is certainly not going to gain. The Democratic Alliance by now should have had 35% of the vote easily. In 2019, they should have gone to 28%, but Musi Maimane and his feckless ANC light, and then John Steenhuisen and his disastrous tenure as the leader of the Democratic Alliance, he is the man steering it towards the Titanic, towards that iceberg. That is John Steenhuisen, the Mare Celeste. That's what this is. Yeah, this is more like the Mare Celeste. There's the ship is there, but all the voters are gone. That's the better analogy here. The DA for 2029 will be the Mare Celeste. That's what it'll be. Mare Celeste. It will be the ghost ship in which the ship is intact, it's at sea, and the entire crew is gone. All the DA voters will have defected elsewhere. They will stay home. They will vote for the PA if they're colored. Not all, but many. They'll vote for the Freedom Plus if they're white. And if they're black, they'll just be so pissed off. Who knows who they'll vote for. Yeah, wow. In an interview with author and journalist Mandy Wiener earlier this year, Ramaphosa raised his frustration over Steenhuisen, claiming the DA was acting as an opposition to government national unity. Ramaphosa compared Steenhuisen to Rolf Meyer, who during CODESA negotiations formed a bond with the president. Another crisis that has faced Steenhuisen follows the decision to axe Dion George. This public spat turned ugly. George, another insider says Steenhuisen's battle with the farming community proved to be the poison chalice. It's not doing us any good, but if there's a solution to the farming crisis, things can be turned around. The negative sentiment against John on social media can't be good, but polling data as yet has not suggested we are hurting. You guys, the DA whistles past the cemetery. I don't know who they poll. Rich, blue-haired, white, self-loathing liberals from the Western Cape. Is that who they poll? I mean, who do they poll? Who does the DA actually poll? I mean, honestly, first off, their polling isn't even correct. They said they're going to win here. They said they're going to increase. Nothing comes true. Nothing comes true. And the places where they overperformed, they didn't predict. Howick, Chris Pappas, they ignored him, and the guy did it pretty much all on his own with his fellow Zulus in the community. Who are they polling? I've been assured by colleagues that stuff is happening until this foot and mouth disease situation under control. Nobody benefits. He's been loggerheads with the farming community, key constituents for the day following foot and mouth. Yeah, because he's ignored it. And I gave him an opportunity, a very fair and generous platform to address the public and tell him what the plan was. But he had no plan. He had no interest in addressing it. Instead, he goes on platforms that have 17 views. 17 views. 5 days, he did an interview. 5 days. And the video on YouTube had 17 views. Now, my tiny little channel, by comparison, Times Live. Let's go to that poll. Times Live, I've updated this a short while ago. This is Times Live, a major publication in South Africa. They have a poll up, okay? So their poll earlier today, should Steenhuisen step down and who would succeed him? Jordan Hill-Lewis, Helen Zille, Emma Powell. They should convince him to stay. Well, I voted, so let me check the results. They have 326 votes. 326 votes. That poll has been up since 2 p.m. South Africa time. That's 2 p.m. That would have been, for me, 7 a.m. 7, it's 12, 16 hours ago, and they have 300. They have fewer votes in that poll than I got on a live broadcast this afternoon. Seriously. Are they using that agency to do their polling? Is that who they're polling? Billie Eilish said, "Granted, no one's illegal." Billie Eilish is a moron who should be taken out to a deserted island and left to her own devices. There is no such thing as Native Indians. That's poppycock. There are no Native Indians. There's no such thing as indigenous. Humans aren't indigenous. Humans migrate to where they're at. There is no origin proven for human beings except the Garden of Eden. That's it. No origin story. No one can show us. No one can pinpoint where humans come from. No one is indigenous. It's a bullshit term. Aborigine, bullshit term. First Nations, bullshit term. Native Americans, bullshit term. They're Americans or they're not Americans. Simple as that. Simple as that. They're Canadians or they're not Canadians. Simple as that. They're South Africans or not South Africans. Simple as that. No such thing as indigenous. It's a poppycock use of a word to confer privilege on people who don't have it, who don't earn it. It's all bullshit. Indigenous. It's like developing nations instead of third world nations. What hurt people's feelings so much about calling countries third world nations? It was an indicator to describe the low-level development. Now we have developing nations. Every nation's a developing nation. We're all developing nations. Who's developed? Nobody's developed. Nothing's perfect. Everybody's developing. It's all bullshit. Bullshit. It's like previously owned automobiles. No, dipshit. It's a used car. It's a used car, not a previously owned automobile. Of course it's previously owned. That's what it is. But you're describing it. You don't describe it as previously owned. You describe it as used car. Exactly, guy. Yeah, if Joe Brandenburg was just veld and they turned into forest, does that make them the owners of it? Yep. Even the Chinese claim Indians came from Asian ancestry after crossing land bridges between Asia and North America. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Humans migrate. They pick up and move. That's the history. And it doesn't matter whether the men or women that they're trying to hook up with are hideous, chubby, skinny, deformed, ugly, smelly. They still give a thrust and still reproduce. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Good-looking people lock up with ugly-looking people. Sexy people hook up with sexy people, and they reproduce. White people, brown people, yellow people. Doesn't matter. People mix, and you get, that's what you get. Look at Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld is part black. Did you know that? Yeah, she is black, like a black grandparent or something like that. Yep. It's just ridiculous nonsense. So, anyway, there's no such thing as indigenous in the First Nations. It's crap. Yeah, enough of these special rights for anybody. No one should get special rights. And this self-loathing, oh, slavery, oh, Europeans in slavery. Excuse me. Slavery has existed throughout human history. It continues to exist today. 75 million people currently live in slavery around the world. At least 75 million people live in bondage, forced labor, or sexual exploitation. 75 million. More than any point in history. Yet, we have telling people that not a profiteer of slavery or beneficiary of slavery ever in my entire life. Quite the opposite, a victim of racial persecution because of intentional policies meant to hinder my progression and success because of my skin color, because of something someone did 150, 250 years ago, has no bearing on me. Why do we have these stupid policies? Why are they self-loathing? What you do is you teach people about the wrongs of the past. You learn about them objectively. When we talk about slavery, what's the first thing? Oh, the transatlantic slave trade, the triangle trade between the UK and the Caribbean and Africa. And yes, rum for here, slaves for there, finished goods for here. But what about the slave trade that took place for 1,600 years before that? From West Africa, where Africans captured Africans, enslaved them, sold them to Arabs, transported them across the Sahel and Sahara, many of whom died there, took them to slave markets in Tunis, in Benghazi, in Cairo, in Algiers, cut the testicles off of the black men so they couldn't reproduce, and then bred the black women. They did take many black women. What about the slave trade that took place in East Africa? The whole reason for Zanzibar was a slave colony. I mean, it was a slave trading center is what it was. The Sultan built a sultanate there to buy slaves from Africa to ship throughout the Arabian Peninsula in the Middle East. But do you see a lot of black people in the Middle East or North Africa? No. It's because they cut their nuts off. Because of an endless supply of slaves. Whereas in the Americas, that treatment didn't happen. But all we hear about is transatlantic slave trade. And that doesn't diminish the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade. But I sure as hell had nothing to do with it. But people should learn about the slave trade. The Romans had slaves. The Egyptians had slaves. Ghana had slaves. Mali had slaves. Songhai had slaves. These are African kingdoms and empires. Aksum had slaves. Oh, but the transatlantic was worse. How? 12 million people. That's a lot. That's terrible. But that's also over 4 centuries. Oh, you start breaking down. Yeah, okay. Ridiculous nonsense. Utter nonsense. Just stupid stuff. Stupid people should wear signs. They really should. They should wear signs. Stupid people should wear signs. Honestly. If you just gave them signs and you wouldn't ask them questions. Bill Engvall is his greatest contribution to Western civilization. Yeah, stupid people should wear signs. They really should. You just, give them a sign.
Stupid people should wear signs, neon bright, so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess, avoid their chaos more, say less. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted lies. Politicians dance and spin, blatant lies with a practiced grin. Blame the moon, blame the stars, blame the traffic or faulty cars. You think they're 6, not 35, playing games to stay alive.
thought-provoking era. We've covered that many times. Trump is suing Trevor Noah. He's suing CBS. Oh, that stopped. He's suing BBC. Who is it? He's suing the U.S. government. He's suing everybody. Trump's lawyers are making a fortune suing everybody. But hey, he's got a treasure chest because he got billions of dollars from CBS. But yeah, yeah. Do I think Jordan Hill Lewis is way more left than Steenhuisen? I think Jordan Hill Lewis is woke. I don't think he's sleazy or dishonest like John Steenhuisen is. Or I could be wrong. I don't know in person. I met him at the funeral for James. What's his name? The DA guy who passed away a couple years ago. I was actually at Kirstenbosch, and they were having a wake for James Self. Is it James Self? Is that who passed away from the DA? And Steenhuisen was there, and Zilla was there. I think Zilla was there. Maybe I'm wrong. But Jordan Hill Lewis is there, and I got a photograph with him. Life is imprisoned by living according to standard. Acknowledge how stupid the average person is and accept half as stupid than that. Well, all that President Trump signed earlier, Mad Max, was a bill. He signed a bill in law which extended the authorization for the federal government to operate through 30 September for everything except the Department of Homeland Security. Serious report with Zilla's name on how the city's core database was captured on her watch. Allegedly, her office declined to receive the report. It goes back some time ago. Yeah. Musk is helping to fund Shirley to expose more fraud. Well, why didn't somebody tell Elon Musk to fund me? I'm exposing fraud by organizations that are supporting refugees. How about someone getting Musk to support me? Anyway. Well, the Turks were never Arab anyway. That's the thing. So, Guy, the Turks are not Arab. They never were Arab. They're Turks. They're Turkmen from Central Asia. They invaded, they conquered, and they set up in Anatolia. Slavery does play a big role, and slavery continues today. Lots of women from Romania and from Moldova and Ukraine have been sex trafficked into Istanbul and turned into prostitutes, married women even. Yeah, it's crazy. Good morning, Max DK. Yep, Colonel's been consistent, offering the DA every opportunity. Helen Zilla, John Stevens, and many others, but they seem to be afraid to understand. Well, some of them do give interviews. Emma Powell gave an interview. Andrew Whitfield's given an interview. Retief Odendahl's given an interview. Ronaldo Williams with the party gave an interview. A member of Parliament, and I can't remember his name now, in Gauteng gave an interview. I've also interviewed Silius Brink. I just interviewed him for the Truth Report this past week. It just came out on the Truth Report. I've had, but yeah, generally speaking, DA leadership. Helen Zilla offered to come on my program 5 years ago. I have her number. I'm not bothering. Yep. No more white guilt. Humans in general awful to each other, regardless of race. Faithful farmer in New England. You were spot on. You were spot on. Aren't you in Vermont? I'm trying to remember. We have incredible technology to curb slavery, but what do we do? Most slaves in the world in history then. This shows the United Nations are not serious. They're not serious. The Caribbean, Brazil got vast majority of slaves from Africa, North America. No, exactly. Future looks bright. So here, let me explain before we get back to the Steenhuisen story. I was raised and went through public schools. And by the way, no one asked about what my shirt is. Colorado, Rocky Mountain High. I grew up with the storyline that America was evil, that we invented slavery. They didn't say that, but that implied that we invented slavery. And they never mentioned slavery anywhere else in the Middle East, around the world, in Rome, and all these places, in Asia. So I grew up with the story that 50 million Africans were brought to America. That's what I was taught in high school. 50 million Africans were brought to America, and millions of them died in the Dark Passage. Now, many did die, and sharks followed slave convoys or slave ships because they knew the bodies would be tossed overboard. True story. But 50 million. Well, that figure, as I became a young man, was disputed, and it was lowered to 20 million. Then it was lowered to 15 million. Then it was lowered to 9 to 12 million. One person is too many. It's horrific. But to lie to someone, to give the impression of 50 million. So I began to question that as a young adult when I went to university. I'm like, wait a second, 50 million. 50 million. So America has only been a country, only real settlement began with Jamestown in 1607, and then Plymouth shortly after that. That's when we had permanent settlement here. The Spanish were in St. Augustine, but it was just a military fort. There wasn't really a settlement, not like they had colonies down there and plantations. So the first real settlement of North America was for what became the United States was Jamestown and then Plymouth. Okay, 1607, the slave trade was outlawed in 1808. You couldn't import slaves from 1808 onwards. That was the first time that the government could change the law because the Constitution set things up. And the first chance they had, they changed it. And they made it illegal to import slaves. So 202 years, 50 million people, 202 years. Let's do the math. How many people had to come to America? And this is just ludicrous. So I'm going to get some left to say, well, of course that's crazy. Yeah, but you weren't there. This is what I was taught in public schools. 50 million people divided by 202 years. That means there would have had to been 247,524 slaves per year brought to America on average, divided by 365 days per year. That means that every day on the shores of America for 202 years, 678 Africans would have had to been brought to America. There weren't 678 people brought to America every single day for those 200 years from any country, let alone slaves from Africa. The reality is that less than 3% of the 9 to 12 million ever came to America. A few 100,000 slaves were brought to America. But that's not the image we're told about. Now, again, any slave is one too many. It's a horrific tragedy of epic proportions. I was just reading about the Peru and the Incas and what the Spanish did to the emperor. They strangled him to death because some Nicaraguan Indian who was with them said that there was an army coming, and they panicked because they thought the army was coming to free the emperor. So they murdered him. They forced him to convert to Christianity. Others going to burn him alive. They put the wood around him, had him tied to a post, and then he just wanted his children to survive. He was 31 years old. So he said, no. He accepted the conversion, not really knowing what it meant, became a Christian. And then instead of burning him to death, they just strangled him to death. There was no Incan army coming. None. The 300 conquistadors, most of whom were functionally illiterate and morons in the dregs of society, had no reason to panic. Pizarro had him murdered for no reason. These are horrific things in history. But do we hear anybody slamming the Latin Americans? Because those people are mixed with those Spanish. That's who those people are. That's their heritage. That's their legacy. The murder of the Incan emperor. The slaughter of 8,000 of his subjects when they attacked him in the first place. Anyone talk about that? No. We just hear about how evil Americans are because they're kicking illegal aliens out. So, the 45 million black Americans today, the vast majority of them are descendants of white Europeans and some of those 200,000, 300,000 black Africans who were brought here over a 200-year period. Yep. Bottom line. I have no idea, Guy. There isn't much in the way of feces, but a lot of bodies get thrown over some of the ships. Exactly. The logistics, it isn't feasible. The story that white people are evil and should feel guilty because of apartheid. Well, they shouldn't feel that way. They shouldn't feel that way unless they played a role in it. Shouldn't. And the history is being erased. I mean, look at the stupidity now where people, the Mizuzulu, Kwazulu-Natal. Why do we have this Natal? Well, dingbat, maybe somebody shouldn't give you a history lesson. There were no Zulu in 1497 when Vasco da Gama arrived on the coast of what is Natal, which, by the way, is much bigger than the Zulu. The Zulu want to claim all of KZN. It's not yours. You never owned all of KZN. Never, ever. KZN was much smaller. Or KZ, the KwaZulu-Natal, the KwaZulu homeland was much smaller. Natal was bigger than that. And why is Natal? Well, because there is no written records. No one had ever declared a name for the territory. The Nguni-speaking peoples that were migrating through and temporarily setting there and picking up moving stakes never named it that we know of. They have no recorded history. They didn't have a name for it. What name do you have? Does someone have a name for it? Or are you going to make one up for me? So in 1497, Vasco da Gama arrived off the coast, and it was on Christmas Day. So he named the area Natal. Now, who is he? He's a Portuguese explorer. The name stuck. It wasn't until the end of apartheid that the term KwaZulu was applied to Natal, the home of the Zulu. But the home of the Zulu is only part of KwaZulu-Natal. And they're 80% of the population. 10% are Indians, 8% are whites, and about 2% are coloreds, mixed race. So why do we get rid of this Natal? Why do we get rid of the name KwaZulu? There were no Zulu. The Zulu first appeared in history in 1709. around the White Mflozi River, 1709. Small band of about 1,500 people. Hardly a mover and shaker. They were nothing for another 100 years until Shaka went on a rampage, murdering, threatening his neighbors, incorporating them or killing them, taking their cattle, growing his empire, and creating the Zulu kingdom in 1818. He got in charge of the Zulu in 1816 and had a kingdom by 1818. Well over 100 years. 1818 is 321 years after the territory was named. Yet the king says we should get rid of Natal. Maybe we should get rid of KwaZulu. Now, I'm being facetious. I thought the term KwaZulu-Natal was a pretty nice, recognition of the heritage of the region. But no, he's just anything that's white. It's just bigots and racist. Yeah, most Americans are happy to ice wrestling more 12 illegals a day, and Democrats can't stop it. Yep. Well, not according to Dogzilla, Broken Arrow. My daughter is 10 and started last year learning about Mandela, but let me tell you the lies they taught. I gave her a full pass to get 0 for history because it wouldn't allow her to learn BS lies. Well, let's talk about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was traditional chief among the Xhosa. He was a pugilist, a boxer. He was a barrister, an attorney. He was a terrorist for MK. He founded the Mkhonto we Sizwe and agreed that terrorism tactics were necessary to change things. He was a prisoner, a political prisoner. No, he was a prisoner for his terrorism, and that wasn't political prisoner. And he was a president of the Republic of South Africa. All of those things are true. He was also a busybody who stuck his nose in everything under the sun, promising this, that, and the other. Every time he went somewhere, we'll give you water, we'll give you this, and there was no resource, no money, nothing in place to do it. So Thabo Mbeki, whom someone I'm not in favor of, not someone I promote, had to go behind him as a technocrat and try to fix all the promises Nelson Mandela made while he was president. Now, the other thing about Nelson Mandela is whatever you think of him, you should respect him. He could have been king and lived in office until the day he died. No constraints on him. But Nelson Mandela set an example that all Africans should follow. After 5 years at the head of the nation, he stepped aside. That was the best thing he ever could have done. And that's an example that has fallen on deaf ears. Africans will never let go of power because they're not for the people. It's all about me, the big man, the chief. It's all about the chief. Yep. Nine of us played a role. I slave trade, so there's no reason to self-loathe or feel guilty anyway. Someone says something to me. I have no idea what you're saying, Neff. If the population target was 5 million, 1,800, then this math makes no sense. Well, the first census was in 1790, so I don't know what the population was in 1800. I have to look it up. But in 1790, the population of the United States was 3.1 million. Now, in 1790, 3.1 million people is after 1619. So it wasn't even 200 years that we had a slave trade. 1619, the first slaves were brought to Jamestown. A Dutch ship rocked up there and sold some slaves. 23 slaves, I think it was, something like that. 1619, 17, 18, 19. It wasn't even 200 years. Take away 11 years, 189 years. 189 years. In 189 years, and at that time, the population of the U.S. grew from a few tens of thousands to 3.1 million. So where are these 50 million Africans? There's no way that 50 million Americans came to America over that 200-year period, and our population, which was majority white, overwhelmingly white, except in places like South Carolina, at that time, it's just. But this is what they teach people. That's what they teach people. They've been lying to Americans for decades. It doesn't negate the horrors of slavery, but the truth is more important. They love selective history. Yeah, people think if you change the name, a place belongs to you. Nope, you didn't build it, you don't own it. So easy to create a false narrative if you get to write the textbooks, and that's the problem. Madeline Ruiz is learning so much here. Yeah. Every town out there is going to change. Yeah. It's true Nelson Mandela was a knight of the Order of Malta. I don't know about that, Krista. I don't know. Why would he be part of that? Change my mind is all the ancient royal place you used to love, so change the name so it has no connection to the wonderful place we built. Very well said, Colonel. You just hit the nail spot on. Does it really boil down to African mentality and the greed for power? My answer is yes. Okay. Change the names does not rewrite history. It's still what it is. At least now, with renaming, the towns reflect the African state that they're in. Let's not forget about Britain's territory in KZN called Dunn's Kingdom. There's a man, another land claim. Yeah, waiting. Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. In fact, Durban those people had permission to found Durban, named after Durban. They had permission from the Zulu king. He granted them that. That was theirs. Yep. Spanish government introducing new laws to go after Elon Musk's ex for sharing the truth, which they don't like. They legalized 500,000 illegals. Yeah, the Spanish government is so woke and so such a disaster. Anyway, so Steenhuisen blunders. What else? The farming community seeks to procure and administer foot-and-mouth disease. Had he been confident in the lawlessness of his conduct and position, he could easily have stated so with reference to the alleged legal grounds thereof, says Sakalika. Ooh. That would have either enabled us to conclude that litigation would be inappropriate or significantly simplified litigation by removing unnecessary areas of dispute and possibly even establishing common ground. Insiders say Steenhuisen had ingratiated himself with the ANC to the detriment of his party. One insider said Steenhuisen's conduct had been discussed during a DA federal executive meeting late last year. There has been this feeling among us that Steenhuisen is too close to the ANC. He's chummy with the deputy president, and you can hear how his tone has changed from his views on Paul Mashatile since he became minister. Another problem, which we cannot ignore, is how we have taken a step back from the China-Taiwan position. So it's not just internal problems, but John is becoming a problem. He's bowing out on his terms, which is good for him and his reputation. What reputation? What reputation does John Steenhuisen have? Who thinks that John Steenhuisen has a good reputation? Well, let's do a poll. Okay. Start a poll. John Steenhuisen. There's your poll, folks. Teaching us your kids, and it's difficult to change your perception. Well, that's because you teach your kids yourself. Homeschool. And if kids go to school, read what they're reading and show them the truth. Yes, they held 250 to 600 ships, depending on the size of the ship. And it took 6 to 8 weeks to travel across the lake. Based on those figures, you needed plus or minus 3 ships arriving daily. And there just weren't that many ships. Exactly. Exactly. Not to mention the industrial size slave operation that had to be necessary. Because remember, they didn't stop supplying slaves to the Middle East and North Africa. That continued. The West Africans still sent slaves that way. They also sent them to the ports on the west coast of Africa. So there just wasn't that big an industrial operation. Who is Schreider? Leon Schreider? Stood in the steps of the court building before the elections and shouted high heavens. Yeah. Suddenly, there's no criticism of Paul Mashatile and his illicit or his unwarranted occupation of mansions worth tens of millions of rand. There's no conversation about that. Far in excess. He has undue affluence. Paul Mashatile is living a life of undue affluence. Money he's not earned, living in plush accommodation that it's not appropriate. He doesn't have that level of income. So why is there not an investigation into that? By the way, let's come back to Pala Pala. Pala Pala. No criminal charges, no investigation into the perversion of the means of justice, customs violations, currency violations, money laundering. You can't bring $580,000 in U.S. currency into South Africa and not declare it and pay taxes on it. You can't do that. Never mind, what about tax evasion? Have we looked at the tax records of Pala Pala to see if that $580,000 was declared by Cyril Ramaphosa or by his game ranch? No. Where is the interest in this? Where is the interest in Zweli Mkhize and Digital Vibes? The Hawks said, the special investigator said, he committed a crime. They have the evidence of it. Where is the prosecution? MPA, where is the prosecution? Where is the case with Zandile Gumeda? Why did it take 7 years to get Julius Malema a guilty verdict over endangering the public safety? How many more times could he have shot firearms in the air and endangered people's lives in that period? Where are the cases with the Vreda Dairy Farm? The Free State asbestos tender deal? The PPE theft? Oilgate, Travelgate, the arms deal? No one is held accountable. Become a criminal in South Africa. It's a living, and nothing will happen to you because you have black privilege. But if you're white and you're corrupt, watch out. They'll come after you. Hillsdale College, Liberty University, that's correct. They do. There are universities. Liberty's one. Also, what's the one that that was founded by what's his name? The Christian evangelist here on the East Coast. Well, Liberty. That's Liberty. That's the one. Yeah. Hillsdale College is another one. Yep. Oral Roberts. That's another one. There's lots of books about South Africa. Here's an objective book about South Africa. You may not like it, some of you, but it's objective. John Lamont, The Boer Invasion of the Zulu Kingdom, 1837, 1840. It was an invasion, but to be fair, they bought the land. It was given to them. You won't like some of the stuff he says. There was no denying, though, that the Boer of the frontier districts generally lacked education. Only the children of the most well-to-do attended government schools the British had established in some villages in the mid-1820s. Otherwise, Boer children learned what their mothers and sometimes fathers and the infrequent wandering tutor could teach them. This went little beyond instilling basic reading and writing skills, sufficient for their pupils to read the Bible, along with the occasional newspaper, and to put their pens to official documents and perhaps a short letter or two. Their lack of book learning beyond what was contained in the Bible meant that most trekkers were remarkably ignorant of the world beyond the circumscribed orbit of their own and neighboring farms and the nearest village with its magistracy. They were often at the magistrates because they were legalistically minded, litigious people with sufficient leisure to mull over their grievances, consistently poring over their title deeds and interminably feuding over land ownership and water and grazing rights. What held these trekkers together, besides a commonly held distrust and dislike of the British administration, was commando service and their religion. They were all Calvinist members of the Nederduits Gereformde Kerk. Their speech was filled with scriptural allusions and injunctions, since the Bible, which they took literally, was the one book they could at least all pick through and recite. Anyway, yeah, so you won't like everything here, but this is an objective, pretty objective book. Yep. So, yet for Gardinier, who was on the spot, the settlers' petulant, if meaningless declaration of independence was imbued with a more serious aspect. Because he had known for many months that Trekker parties were intending to cross over the Drakensberg and settle in Natal, it was his not unfounded fear that the Port Natal settlers would very likely coalesce with the Boers, and invite them to make that neighborhood the seat of their projected government. However, the English settlers were divided over that very issue. British loyalists like Gardinier believed that if the Boers succeeded in taking control of the port and imposing their laws, they would have no choice but to depart, since the Cape authorities were utterly precluded from taking possession of the settlement. Many others, however, saw the trekkers as a vital reinforcement against Dingani's perennial threats and had, in any case, already unilaterally thrown off their unrequited attachment to Britain. The Boers did not extricate themselves unscathed. Besides Piet Ice and his son, they lost 8 men, only one of whom was Hendrik Potgieter's division, and a few dozen wounded, as well as all of the 60 or so pack horses, along with their baggage, spare ammunition, and a number of muskets. The Amazulu must have suffered many casualties themselves, perhaps several hundred, since they had been compelled to brave well-disciplined heavy musket fire at close range in order to get close enough even to throw their izujuja with any effect. Even so, the battle had been a decided Zulu success, in which, in contrast to the Ama-Ndebele at Mosega and Chabenge, they had prevailed over the mounted Boers and their fearsome muskets. Zulu morale would have received a decided boost, and it now remained to be seen whether Dingani could capitalize on the victory and drive the Amabunu out of his kingdom. As for the trekkers, they were left aghast that Ice and Potgieter, the two victorious commanders against the Ama-Ndebele, should have suffered such a significant reverse, only mitigated by the defeated commander's success in breaking out of the Zulu ambush and making its escape. After all, it was one thing for the emigrant farmers to be taken by surprise in their unprepared encampments at the Blaukrans and Bushman's River, but it was quite another to be trounced in the open field. The chasing commando returned to the Boer encampments on April 12th, and the extent of their setback unleashed terrible consternation in the camp. "Oh God, help, 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 help. Still now protect, preserve our camps," cried Erasmus Smith in his deep distress. Over the next 2 days, the wagons of 4 different camps were brought together in heavy rain for greater protection, concentrating the western front of Doornkop at what became to be known as Modderlair, mud camp. Under this new adversity, the old dissensions flared up with new intensity. The disastrous expedition began referred to derisively as the Flugkommando, or Flight Commando, for indeed it indubitably fled. The trekkers cast about to assuage their dismay by raising up heroes they could celebrate in order to gloss over the shock of defeat. Pete Ice and his son Dirkie provided the desired hero figures. The emerging myth related how the mortally wounded Ice, when he fell from his horse for the last time, nobly urged his companions to leave him and save themselves, exhorting them to fight like brave fellows to the last and hold God before your eyes. In a further poignant touch that is passed in legend, Dirkie is said to have been so moved by the sight of his father abandoned on the ground and surrounded by the enemy that even though he could have saved himself, he wheeled his horse about and rode back to protect Ice. To those who tried to hold him back, he courageously declared in Dutch, "Ik zal bij mijn vader sterven." I will die with my father. Potgieter, by contrast, was openly accused of cowardice and treason for having fled the battlefield. Indignant at what he considered the unfounded criticism and impressed, moreover, with the military strength of the Zulu, he huffily withdrew across the Drakensberg, taking his invaluable group of horsemen along with him. Back in the Highveld, he resumed his endeavors to found a republic where he could achieve his ideal of liberty. As for the trekkers who remained east of Drakensberg, they had to accept that overthrowing Dingani and settling in his former kingdom would be far more difficult and uncertain enterprise than defeating Mzilikazi. They would have to adjust their strategy and tactics and prepare for a prolonged campaign. One thing, though, was certain. Henceforth, they would risk engaging the Amazulu only from the more sure protection of a wagon logger. Anyway, so, yep, this is an objective book. And John Labont is a guest on my program. I'm unable to reach him now. If anybody has contact with Professor Labont, please let me know. I wanted to interview him again. I read another book of his. Lots of good books in South Africa. You just have to be willing to accept when things aren't in your favor. I'm not familiar with that book, Karen. Take care, Max. How free labor becomes electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Well, that'd be nice. No, the South African government has not offered up anybody for the raid with me. They're just ignoring it. Oh, no, the water will not be issued. That's been going on for years unless you're BE compliant. That's not new legislation. That's been going on for years. Yep. Yep. Wow, a tarnished reputation. Look at that. 133 votes. Wow, that's crazy. We've never had a clean sweep ever on a poll. That would be shocking. Wow. DA took control of the food supply. Oh, somebody delete that. Yep, Broken Arrow, their history is fascinating. Not all people are heroes, and not all deeds by the Boer were good. Some were evil deeds, and just like any other people. But you got to tell the whole story, not part of it. Yeah, the DA lied about that bill. Good morning, Nadine. Kids at school, coffee, watching, okay. There's news about the family that had a problem with the guide dog. Yeah, their flight was canceled, El Murray. They got to the assembly area, and people are like, what are you doing with the dog? And they're like, it's a service dog. You know about this? No. Well, you can't go. Well, the people aren't prepared to take a dog where you're supposed to be staying, which is nonsense. It's a service dog. You can't deny that. It's not a pet. Yeah, so they got stuck. After all the work I did, after some work that supposedly some congressman did, I don't know who the person is, that's why supposedly, but I don't doubt it happened. And they were all set. They had everything set. They had a reservation for the kennel, for the vet to have the dog looked at when it arrived in Atlanta, and all of this. And then they get there. So they're in Somerset West. They have accommodation for right now. I've gotten them already. One of my viewers sent them money. One of my viewers, the Wyatt Army, sent them money. Sent them money. The Wyatt Army is amazing. You guys are amazing. All this nonsense about, he makes money off refugees and his channel's monetized. Yeah, my channel's monetized. It's a business. You got a problem with businesses making money, then you're a moron. Businesses should make money. They should generate more revenue. But startups don't generate more revenue. The amount of money that I spent on this channel has never been recouped. until this past year. I'm now getting back, but after taxes, I'm still in the hole. I've made less money in my pocket than I actually received from this channel over the past 6 years than I've earned when you include taxation. But before last year, I was $50,000 in the hole. $50,000 in the hole. Oh, but he makes money on his channel. So what? What's your problem? What is your problem? What is wrong with the business making money? YouTube makes money off me. They make a ton of money off me. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so why was I talking about the money? There's a reason for that. But yeah, it's just, anyway. Yeah, Chris Myber, I want to thank you for your unbiased and thorough reporting in the foot and mouth epidemic. Way before mainstream media and fellow YouTubers calling. Yeah, no, I know. Chris, I talked about it a couple of times over the past years, but there weren't many media reports on it, and I didn't hear from many farmers. I know some farmers in South Africa, I got a fair number of them, particularly in Northwest and in Gauteng, a few in the Western Cape, but not so many. I don't really know any farmers, I know one or two farmers in KZN, and that's about it, and none in the Eastern Cape that I know of. Anyway, so yeah, I was reporting on it, but then I started reporting on it more frequently in December 2024, and I tried to talk about it a lot in April, May of last year, and the mainstream media talked about it briefly, but Steenhuisen agreed to talk about it, never came on. No, it is objective. I mean, you know, all this stuff is objective. Oh no, you're right. So you guys don't make money from refugees. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So yeah. No, I don't. It's comical. I could make money. I've been asked to start an NGO. I've been asked to start a for-profit business by refugees, by others. You know, I've also been asked to, you know, to capitalize. You know, I could. It's look. You don't profit all people's grief. That's why, like farm murders, I never monetize my videos on that. Never have. And I used to have a rule. I was pretty consistent for years. I refused to monetize any video that was less than 5 minutes. I thought it's not fair that you have to watch a bunch of commercials for a 5-minute video. That's BS. So that was my rule for a long time. I also refused to monetize any video where someone was murdered, particularly farm murder. I just didn't do that. But then YouTube changed the rules. YouTube 2 years ago in January 2023 said, doesn't matter whether you monetize or not, or whether you even a monetized channel. We reserve the right to put ads on every one of your videos. If you're not monetized, you don't monetize your video, we can still put ads on it. If you're not a monetized channel, we'll put ads on your video. And they did that because new channels would take off for whatever reason, because some little C cup is showing off her nipples. You know, it gets a big freaking, you know, 4 million views. Well, if it's not a monetized channel, they would put ads on that. They would make a ton of money off it. So I changed that policy. Most of my videos are now monetized just because YouTube shouldn't get 100%. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the labor. It's my analysis. It's my effort that goes into it. So there ought to be something that comes back to the business. And this is a side portion of what I do as a business. Anyway, 500,000 drilling boreholes because he couldn't get above ground water rights for 8 years. See, there you go. See, it's not new. It's been going on for years. DA added some more lies. They should realize some voters are not fools. Their far leftist ideas does not sit well with me. John State agriculture expropriation will happen. Well, we've heard Dean McPherson, wasn't it Dean McPherson that said nil compensation is compensation? Am I wrong? Wasn't it Dean McPherson that said that? I think, let me just look at, this is when AI will come in. Did Dean McPherson say nil compensation is compensation? I'm pretty sure it was Dean McPherson last year. Yeah, May last year. February 11th, 2025. DA Expropriation Act challenge doesn't tackle nil compensation. So the DA went to court over nil compensation, right? Except they went over EWC, but they're not talking about nil compensation. Why are they not? Oh my gosh. I mean, how do we deal with this stupidity? It's beyond belief. February 11th last year, DA Expropriation Act challenge doesn't tackle nil compensation, only final mandates and one section. They challenged the Expropriation Act in court with Federal Council Chairperson Helen Ziller arguing that it passed unlawfully and without a proper mandate. But here we are a year later, and they're still going through the expropriation, but not on nil compensation. Dean McPherson, Herman Pretorius wrote last year, many South Africans started last week to hear the Democratic Alliance Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, defend the ANC's Expropriation Act in comments that conflict with the years of DA warnings about expropriation and compensation. Yep. Wow. Dean McPherson, what a cackling hyena. You should attend a math class. Exactly. Same goes for those with the cheap price party packs. So that by that reason, the shops should start selling their goods for free. Exactly. Everything should be 0 rand. Oh, better yet, let's pay our taxes at nil compensation. Ooh, that's a song. How's that? I'm going to pay nil compensation to SARS. How's that? You guys like that one? I mean, it's a form of compensation, so why give them rand? Give them nil compensation. I paid nil rand. Go ahead, Wendy. It's not news. We're not doing news. This is Night Owls. You can interrupt. If I tell you I'm going to do news, I'll do it. Whatever you want. Family got their tickets. They will be here on the 11th with us in Indiana. Okay, Spice Teddy. I don't ever remember seeing you in the program. Welcome. Wow. Okay, so you're in Indiana, Spice Teddy. I'm guessing you are permanent residents or American citizens. Do you mind sharing? You don't have to. Wired communication. No excuse for the stress this family had to go through. I believe this family will be sorted out. Punish the officials whose communication is screwed up. What are you talking about, Bonnie? You talking about with the service animal? Yep. Oh, we got a vote. Someone voted. It says John Steenhuisen has a good reputation. We had 100%, and now we're down to 98%. The refugee numbers for January will not be a shocker to me. I predicted 1,800 to 2,500 refugees based on the numbers I saw. Now, that's not, now if I get it wrong, you can't go, oh, you were wrong. No, I'm going off the information I had, the anecdotal information, which sometimes is the only information available from multiple sources over multiple days. And my estimation based on that information is 1,800 to 2,500 South Africans came over. It might even be more, but we'll see. Oh, knowledge can be expropriated, Krista. That's why the history books lie. They've expropriated knowledge. You've been here since 2000, Spice Teddy? Wow. I wasn't broadcasting in 2000. Oh, you mean you've been in the U.S. since 2000? Sorry. See, I got distracted there. You've been in the States since 2000. Okay. Indiana. Whereabouts in Indiana? I hope you're not in Gary, Indiana. That's not a nice place. Tom Raper, Richmond, Indiana. No longer Tom Raper. They sold his name off, his RV business. Very famous. Yeah, I don't know who jumped in there and voted and said John had a good reputation. That's funny. Oh, YouTube Premium jumped by 40 rand. Ooh, that sucks. Documents on my case, but cannot access it. Did mail. Okay. I don't know what to tell you there, Wendy. Yeah, you didn't think about history being rewritten. Yep. Well, Spice Teddy, thank you for watching the program. How long have you been around? I don't recall you ever chatting on the program. Are you new? If so, welcome to the program. Yeah. All right. Shall we write the song? Let's pay our taxes. Nil compensation. Is it time to make a song, guys? Is it time to make a song? Meanwhile, while I write the lyrics for this song, let me give you the dulcet sounds of Jellyfish Sway. This is honor of the minister, John Steenhuisen, who will be on in 3 hours for his press conference. So let me go ahead and play Jellyfish Sway while I write the draft lyrics for this new song that we're going to produce here in just a few minutes. All right, here we go. Nano Silver. Yes, Candida, someone asked for it. Yeah, I'm going to play Jellyfish Sway. This is written in honor of John Steenhuisen. And then in addition, after that, we'll generate the new song. So here we go. I'm going to write the lyrics while this is on.
Blue lights flash, they're out of sync.
Johnny Boy.
Promises fade, gone in a blink. Wrong place, wrong time. What's the plan? Spinning words, but they don't land. Oh, jellyfish sway. Ooh, yeah. Floating promises drift away. South Africans cry. jellyfish sway. Ooh, yeah. Floating promises drift away. South Africans cry, dismay, dismay. Dance through the night, we'll find out a way. Spin, spin, the tide rolls in, lost in the chaos, where to begin? We're here and we'll rise, we'll take the floor. We've seen this game, we'll play no jellyfish sway. Floating promises drift away. South Africans cry, dismay, dismay. Dance through the night, we'll find a way.
Jellyfish Sway in honor of John Steenhuisen. Many of you remember when we drafted that song. So I've written some preliminary lyrics. How many people we lose? Lost a few people. Did we lose the lovely lady from Indiana? Or did she go quiet? I don't think she wanted. Oh, there. Oh, Middlebury. Oh, well, there are Amish around me too. Not right here, but just about 30 miles to the east of me, on the other side of Susquehanna. But all around me, there are Mennonites galore. Yep. The houses they're erecting just down the road here. Lots of Mennonites work on those job sites. Yep. I'm glad to see the Mennonites. They're legal. They're qualified electricians, plumbers, masons, and carpenters, unlike the illegal immigrants who built my house, and it's falling apart. Yep. John Camp vote is on a reputation assessment. Radio Afterlife. Yep, coming to us from the other side. Exactly. All right. What else we got here? My daughter did her medical on Tuesday. Says there are a lot of people. Oh, there have been a lot of people for a long time. There are a lot of people, hundreds of people. Okay, so hang on. I gotta make some phonetic spellings here. Okay. All right, I think I've got enough here to do it. I had to phonetically spell some. Oh, that one. Okay, let's see what we get here. All right, so it might be a short song because I didn't write a lot of lyrics for this one, but let's see what we come up with here. Hang on, folks. Okay. By the way, the Vegas trip that I'm going to do to see refugees for meet and greet, that is going to be modified. It will no longer be in mid-April. It's going to be in March. Okay, hang on. Oh, that's not create. I spelled the word wrong. Are we losing people? Okay, people hang around. Be patient, folks. This is going to be fun. Most of these come out pretty well. I write some pretty good bass lyrics for it, and I turn it over to AI to make it come sexy. And let's see how it is. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got. Country song with male, female vocals. Okay. ECR says Trump has signed to go. I didn't see that. Oh, he did. Wow. Wow. I'll be darned. I missed that. I must have been napping. Signed a law extending preferential trade program through December 31st, retroactive to September 30th. Oh, I have to make a video when I'm done here. Okay. President signed legislation that reauthorizes the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Okay, so what's it's the Office of Trade Representative. It doesn't tell us which bill he signed. Doesn't say which bill. Thank you for that. Yeah, someone asked. Okay. Well, HR 6500 can't be that because that was through 2028. So which one is it? I hate this one. Don't tell you which bill it is. I'm looking. It's not here. Well, I'll make a video on that when we're done here. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Going to make the song now. Do we still have our friend from Indiana with us? Nice having somebody from Indiana. From all over, but I'm also from Ohio. Create. Okay. Paste nil compensation. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's see how it goes. All right, cool. How's the health today, CVO? Oh, yeah, how's Charles? Any news on the court case against President's tariffs? No, that was the Supreme Court. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for all the info. Oh, don't leave yet, Zay Martinez. We're about to have the song here in just a minute. The go that went through the Senate. Well, it has to go through the Senate. That doesn't tell me which bill. Wrote a letter to Trump last year. The farmers don't want to leave South Africa, not persecuted. Now he cries wolf who come handing off disease. What's ironic about that? There's nothing ironic about that at all. Nothing ironic about that at all. Nothing ironic about that at all, man. All right, 202 votes. We're going to end it there. So 6 people think that John Steenhuisen has a good reputation. Well, that's pretty interesting. Wow. It's a late night poll, so, you know, hey, it is what it is. All right, so let's see. Let's see how this comes out. Country song. Okay. Why is that not? Okay. Hey, Rudolph Skeppers, what's going on? Okay. All right, song's coming now. You guys ready? At least Kenny will vote no and go. Yeah, well, it doesn't mean South Africa's part of it. I need to make a video before people get all excited here because the ANC is going to start going, yay. All right, no compensation. Country duet. Oh, yeah.
Woke up this morning to a letter in the mail. SARS is knocking, looking for the Holy Grail. They want a piece of my sweat, a slice of my palm, while I'm sitting in the dark in a cold, quiet home. The ANC says nothing is a price you can pay. Well, I've got a brand new budget for the tax man today. They're raiding the pensions, taking what's stored to keep the blue lights flashing for the elite and the bored. Free water, free housing, and a World Cup seat, while the rest of us are scrounging for a morsel of meat. They're living high off the hog on a cater spree, while the farms and the businesses are falling to their knees. So let's pay our taxing to SARS today in the currency of nothing, the Pretoria way. No cash, no credit, not a single rand, just the empty air from an outstretched hand. It's nil compensation, yeah, that's the deal. Since nothing is a payment, let's see how that feels. Dean McPherson says that the math is quite fair. If nil is the value, well, I've got plenty to spare. Why should I fund the graft and the privilege and pride while the infrastructure's crumbling on a one-way ride? You want my hard-earned money for your fancy parade? Sorry, Mr. Taxman, the balance has stayed at zero. Our communities are breaking, the neglect is a sin. The poor are getting poorer while the fat cats grin. They tax us to death just to fuel the machine, but the cupboards are bare and the pockets are clean. Well, we're paying our taxes to SARS today with nil compensation that the politicians pray. No more moolah, no more cents, just a thank you note for the government's expense. Not a red cent left, not a rand in the hand, just nil compensation across the land. that's a fair trade. Welcome to the debt that's already been paid.
Version 2 coming your way. That's a long one.
Woke up this morning
I like that voice.
to a letter in the mail. SARS is knocking, looking for the Holy Grail. They want a piece of my sweat, the slice of my bone, while I'm sitting in the dark in a cold, quiet home. The ANC says nothing is a price you can pay. Well, I've got a brand new burden for the tax man today. They're raiding the pensions, taking what's stored, to keep the blue lights flashing for the elite and the bored.
Free water, free housing, and a World Cup seat, while the rest of us are scrounging for a morsel of meat.
They're living high off the hog on a cater spree, while the farms and the businesses are falling to their knees. So let's pay our taxes to SARS today, in the currency of nothing, the Pretoria way. No cash, no credit, not a single rand, just the empty air from an outstretched hand. It's nil compensation, yeah, that's the deal, since nothing is a payment. Let's see how it feels.
Dean McPherson says that the math is quite fair.
If nil is a value, well, I've got plenty to spare.
Why should I fund the graft and the privilege and pride,
While the infrastructure's crumbling on a one-way ride? You want my hard-earned money for your fancy parade? Sorry, Mr. Taxman, the balance has stayed at zero. Our communities are breaking,
and the neglect is a sin.
the poor getting poorer, all the fat cats grin. They tax us to death
Just to fuel the machine.
but the cupboards are bare and the pockets are clean. And we're paying our taxes to SARS today with nil compensation. Let the politicians pray. No more moolah, no more cents, just a thank you note for the government's expense. Not a cent left,
Not a rand in the head.
just nil compensation across the land.
Yeah, keep your blue lights.
I'll keep my pride,
The till is empty.
nowhere left to hide.
Nil compensation.
That's a fair trade.
Welcome to the dead.
That's already
been paid.
that's what they get for not being viewers of my program. That's what they get. They could have gotten help, but they did not viewers of my program, so they're on their own. Oh, someone's sending me Rugby World Cup experiences. Look at this. Okay, premium access. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. Plus 6-1. What country is 6-1? Is that New Zealand? That must be Australia. 6-1 country code. Anyway. Bumped off the song. Okay, now I did it reggae. Let's do reggae. There's shorter versions. Yeah, got to go platinum. Yeah, no compensation, fair trade. People got stuck. Helene, did you send me a WhatsApp? Is that what you're telling me? You said you sent something. Oh my gosh, things are even worse. Hang on a second, Lehan. Hang on a second. Let's see how it gets before she sends it to me. Got it. All right, had to take care of something there. Okay. All right, she sent to me. Stucking because... Yeah, I know about that. I know about that. No transit visas. Yep. Yep. What's the number? Helena, yeah, I can tell you that the U.S. government's aware of that. They're aware that that happened. Once again, dicking things up. Dicking things up. In transit visa, yeah, words out. Look at the time, man, the mirror. Okay. Okay, I don't know about 180 people landing in Heathrow. I know about 30 people trapped in Frankfurt. I know about people arriving in D.C. This is the problem with taking other airlines and going to Europe. I said this is why we don't normally do this. But this rush to get people out, they're dicking things up. So now that the word's out there, I'm going to make a video on this. Oh, you can get on the wrong flight, Marissa. It's happened. I've been on a flight where somebody flying overseas was on the wrong flight. Wrong flight. Yep. Yeah, and what happened is that the seat the person was supposed to sit in, they sat next to someone they knew briefly, then went back to their seat after the plane took off, and there's someone in their seat, and the plane was already gone. They're not turning around. They flew all the way to Europe, and that wasn't where they were intending to go. Yeah, I've seen it before. It does happen. It's rare, but it does happen. Okay, let's listen to reggae version, much shorter version of No Compensation. Matthew can fall asleep on this one, too. Wow.
Woke up in the morning, sun peeking through the smoke. But the system is a burden, and the system is a joke. I see the tax man coming with his ledger and his pen, trying to take the little bread from the hands of honest men. The ANC tell us in a voice so smooth and deep that nil is compensation for the secrets that they keep. Well, if nothing is of value, then I've got a plan in store to give Pretoria exactly what they're asking for. Let's pay our taxes to the SARS today. In a nil compensation style, I say. No cash, no credit, not a single rand. Just the empty rhythm of a dry, dry land. Nil compensation for the taxman's greed, while the people cry out for the things they really need. They're taking all the coins just to fund the VIP, while the brothers and the sisters live in poverty. Free water, free lights, and a World Cup trip, while the captain is feasting on a sinking ship. They raid the pension fund to keep the blue light spinning fast. The privilege for the quarters while the workers come in last. They're living high off the hog, yeah, they're eating all the fruit, while the farms and the businesses are dying at the root. Neglect, graft, elite privilege. The poor grow poorer in the shadow of the tall walls, but the tax man still comes knocking when the evening falls. Now D. McPherson says that the math is feeling fair, so I'm breathing out the taxes in the middle of the air. I'm paying with a flair, I'm paying with a smile. I haven't seen a rand in a long, long while. No more money for the stars, no more silver, no more gold. Just the story of a nation that's been bought and been sold. Oh yeah, we pay our taxes to the stars today. In a nil compensation style, I say. No cash, no credit, not a single rand. Just the empty rhythm of a dry, dry land. Nil compensation, yeah, that is the fee. From the mountains of the Cape to the Zalpansberg tree. Not a red cent, not a red cent, not a single rand, not a single rand. Just nil. Nothing, nada. Pretoria, we're square. Oh,
All right, so yes, normally you can't get on the wrong flight. That's the first version. I'm doing the reggae in a second. I got to deal with the chat over here. Elon lied about not knowing Epstein was mentioned freaking alongside Thiel. He's now using exiles to files. The shameful. I know nothing about that, Swamped. I don't really give a crap about that whole situation. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the world today. For the victims, I urge them to sue the estate and get a ton of money for your suffering. That's all you can do. None of the politicians will be held account. None of the celebrities will be held account. Nothing's ever going to come of it. So it's a waste of energy. I'm much more concerned about Iran and nuclear weapon, much more concerned about Russian nuclear weapons, much more concerned about criminal alien invaders in our streets, stealing Social Security numbers, undermining our labor market, flooding our schools, bringing pestilence in this country. I'm much more concerned with trying to help refugees who are here legitimately and sort that. I'm much more concerned with events in the world, the Ukraine war, Gaza. I don't really give a flying flip about that whole thing. Elon Musk can lie all day. I don't know Elon Musk. I have nothing to do with Elon Musk. I profit nothing from Elon Musk's existence other than the fact that he bought X and it's no longer a hate-wanking platform, but my account was hacked and X refuses to fix it. They refuse to fix it. They are hate wankers themselves, so I don't really care about that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. It's nice of you to share, but it's not a topic I care to talk about. I've talked enough about the people with obsession with pedophiles. I have no interest in it whatsoever. All right, so let's see. So I don't really care, Swamped Out, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people are obsessed with this and talking about it. But yeah, that's wrong. If Elon Musk is doing that, it's wrong. He complains about censorship. He shouldn't be censoring people. Yeah, but we don't know that South Africa was part of AGOA. We don't know that. Wouldn't it be funny if South Africa was allowed back in AGOA after all their whining about it? Okay, so on the things to the UK. So here's what you guys don't understand. Some countries, you must have an in-transit visa to go through that country, even though you never leave the airport. That's BS in my view. An airport's supposed to be international. When you have international connecting flights, you never leave the international terminal. You're not in the country. But some countries demand it. They make you go through immigration. Now, the UK, the problem is these people had to stay overnight. So either they sleep on the floor of the airport or the airline has to put them in a hotel. But the airline can't put South Africans in a hotel if they can't get into the country because they don't have an in-transit visa. You understand? So the people in Frankfurt were stuck in the airport because they didn't have a visa for the Eurozone. They didn't have a Schengen visa. You have to have a Schengen visa as South African, do you not, to go there? So they're screwed. And the people running this program didn't think this through. They're just sticking people on planes. This is brain dead. Look, earlier today, I'm going to have to make a video when this is done explaining to people what happened today. What a total cock up. What a total screw up here. I mean, earlier today, I had people contact me frantically. They were trapped in Frankfurt, but they didn't contact me. Why are people... Anyway, I'm not going to get upset about it. I bend over backwards to help people who don't even watch my program, who don't even care about my program, who do nothing to help this channel grow, but they leech onto me and they get something from me and then they just F off and never come back in. It's very frustrating. So these people, I don't know if they watch my channel or not, but none of them reached out to me. I got contacted by 2 moderators and a third person who was in touch, presumably through groups or Discord or something like that. We're trapped in Frankfurt. And then, of course, I get half-assed stories, half-assed pictures, turned sideways. I got to break my neck to read the damn boarding passes and read the sheets. I'm trying to explain what I need. And these people are completely not briefed on what they should have. I'm trying to explain to them they should have a piece of paper that has the case number on it, the agency they're going to, and the case officer so you can contact with a phone number. And it took me half an hour to get this through when I had other things to do. So half an hour to get that message across. In the end, I wound up calling 3 refugee case officers in the States, one in Utica, New York, one in Kansas, and then one in somewhere else. I forget where it was. And 2 of them straight to voicemail. They never returned my call. Didn't have the courtesy to return my call. I'm trying to help them so they're not sitting in the airport waiting hours wondering where these refugees are because refugees can't contact them. They're in Germany. They don't have they don't have, unless they have a contract on their phone, they have airtime and they'll use it all up making a phone call. And they don't even understand who they're supposed to call. The one refugee kept sending, let me send you the email. She sent me the CWS email. I don't care about a CWS email. I don't need that. CWS is done. They're not part of the process. Once you're on a plane, you're out of there. That is not their problem. You are gone. You're off their books. You are now someone else's problem. And trying to explain this to people is very difficult, very, very difficult. Anyway, so back to the point. Thank you, Elvira van der Vaart. Thank you for sharing that gifted membership. And Riff's Hard, thank you for 70 rand. So I contacted 3 of them. Now here's the bottom line. The IOM, the International Organization of Migrant, apparently they're the ones that do this coordination. They're supposed to be there. I guess they're supposed to be at the airport in Frankfurt. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'm hearing. Whatever the case is, they didn't contact anybody. I contacted an agent in Utica, New York, a foreign national with a very strong accent from Europe, and a very lovely guy, and who was very helpful. I contacted him, and he's like, oh, thank you so much. I didn't know about this. Let me check, because I didn't know this. IOM is supposed to update the case officers electronically if there's a delay or if a flight's been canceled. I didn't know that, so I learned that today. It makes sense. I'm glad that system exists. But they didn't do it. Probably because we overwhelmed them with flights to the UK, flights to DC, flights to Atlanta, flights to Newark, flights to frickin' London. What the hell is going on here? We're like flying South Africans everywhere. And no one has control. So IOM didn't notify any case officers till hours later. Hours after I'd already got out there and reached out. And the only reason IOM reached out to people is because I called that agent at Utica and he called IOM. During business, I said, what the hell's going on? I got some colonel calling me telling me that the flights in Frankfurt are closed. My case isn't updated. And that's when IOM's like, oh gosh, we need to tell somebody. What kind of amateur hour is this? What kind of half-assed ANC operation is the American government running in South Africa? Are we learning how to run programs based on ANC leadership? I mean, this is ridiculous. Yeah, so you take an infant that's 3 months old, you take a 2-year-old toddler, you take some preteens and a family of 7 and sit in an airport with no frickin' money. Have you been to the airport in Frankfurt? They took over the military terminal, expanded the damn thing. It goes everywhere now. You walk for kilometers. There's no shops. The shops there cost a fortune. You can't eat anything for one person for less than 20 or 25 euros. A family of 6 or 7, they provide no food. You can't leave the airport to stay in a hotel for the night, even though the airline's obliged to give you the hotel. So you're stuck in the airport. Why the freak out? Not a freak out. It's a statement of fact. The callous disregard for the concern and welfare of human beings, Dogzilla, on your part is shocking. Your privileged, rich, elite, lovely, comfortable life in Washington must be nice for you. Your inability to grasp how people suffer, your inability to commemorate or to commiserate with people who are in desperate situations. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. That message was deleted. Thank you, the mod deleted that. Stop acting like a turd. I'm going to block you eventually because you're just such a callous, uncaring human being. You really are. You're absolutely an uncaring, callous ass. It's the reason you need to have a little bit of money on you, credit card. That's the reason. Yep. So many people that do support your channel don't get us out. They have no hope. Exactly. Exactly, Loretta. But a lot of my viewers have gotten out. We've seen that. Lots of my viewers have gotten out. Yeah, anyway. It's just, look, and I bend over backwards to help people. Yellow margarine. Margarine is yellow. Thank you for that 35 Rand. Yep, unbelievable. Why the freak out? You got people with a 3-month-old infant sitting in an airport after having flown 12 hours from South Africa, fleeing from racial persecution, giving up their life, giving up what they've grown up, going what they know, leaving their parents behind, never going to see grandma again. The child will never see grandma. They're doing all this stress. They're sitting in an airport, unknown places. They don't speak German. Do you think people who speak German understand Afrikaans? Ich praat Afrikaans nicht. Ma, ich verstaan. Ja, ich spreche Deutsch schon über 40 Jahre, aber Afrikaans und Deutsch sind verschiedene Sprachen und man kann nicht verstehen die andere Sprache, wenn man nicht dieselbe Sprache spricht. Ja, natürlich kann man auch Englisch sprechen, aber das ist ja etwas anderes. Unbelievable. Wow. Anyway, it's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me that people can be so callous and uncaring. I don't know these people. I don't know them. I don't care if they're white, they're black, they're brown, they're Jewish, they're Christian, they're Muslims. I don't give a flying flip. But a little human empathy for our fellow human beings. Yaku says, gut gesagt, was müssen wir tun? Well, that's a very strange spelling. That must be some Plattdeutsch from somewhere, but I got your intent there. Yeah, remember, Thea had never even been on an escalator before. The woman's in her 30s. She'd never been on an escalator when she went to Gauteng. People never been on a plane before, never had a passport before, never traveled, don't understand what's going on. I mean, it was very hard for me to explain to the woman what I needed. She's an adult. It looks like she's in her 40s or 50s. And she didn't understand what I was asking for. Probably because she was dealing with a lot of stress. 30 people there at the airport. Yep. It's just, I can't fathom the level of stupidity that's going on here. It's unbelievable. Prices up or down, says Swamped Out USA. Well, that's a crazy question. Prices for what? I just bought a 65-inch television for $315. A 65-inch television, when I bought my television, which isn't 65, it's 50. My 50-inch television I bought was $600, $700 4 or 5 years ago. And now I get a 65-inch ULED television that's a smart TV for $315. I went to the Veterans Organization tonight, I plugged it in, turned it on, logged in, and put the news on, just like that. Beautiful 65-inch television. People can see it all the way across the room. Our prices coming down. It depends what you're buying. Petrol prices are down. Energy prices are down. Food prices haven't really come down because they wiped out 60 million birds. They this bogus nonsense about bird flu, which wasn't even spread around the country. They euthanized 60 million hens in this country, drove up the price of eggs. And then Trump became president, and a week after he became president, oh, he has to lower the price of eggs. He has to lower the price of eggs. The dude's been president for a week. How many chickens do you think have hatched and risen to the age of maturity to grow to lay eggs in that time? None, dumbasses. Groceries, depends what you buy. Depends what you buy. It's wintertime. You want raspberries? They're not cheap because they're coming from Honduras. You want artichokes? They're coming from California. Prices don't change. It depends what you're buying. You want to buy meat? Meat's a disaster because of Bill Gates and other scumbags buying up all the ranch land and crowding out our herds. The number of cattle being raised in this country is the lowest level it's been in a century because of these rich elites buying up all the farmland. That's part of the reason. You're a troll, aren't you? Swamped out. Okay, you're going to get a timeout here because you're being a troll. It's been over years. So what? The prices are low. Fuck off. Quit being an asshole. All right, second version now. This is paying nil compensation to SARS. Yeah, because since they say it's compensation, we'll give them no money for our taxes.
Up in the morning, the sun peeking through the smoke, but the system is a burden, and the system is a joke. I see the tax man coming with his ledger and his pen, trying to take the little bread from the hands of honest men. The ANC tell us in a voice so smooth and deep that nil is compensation for the secrets that they keep. Well, if nothing is of value, then I got a plan in store to give Pretoria exactly what they're asking for. Let's pay our taxes to the stars today, in a nil compensation style, I say. No cash, no credit, not a single rand, just the empty rhythm of a dry, dry land. Nil compensation for the tax man's greed, while the people cry out for the things they really need. They're taking all the coins just to fund the VIP, while the brothers and the sisters live in poverty. Free water, free lights, and a World Cup trip, while the captain is a feasting on a sinking ship. They raid the pension fund to keep the blue light spinning fast, a privilege for the quotas while the workers come in last. They're living high off the hog, yeah, they're eating all the fruit, while the farms and the businesses are dying at the root. Neglect, graft, elite privilege, the poor go poorer in the shadow of the tall walls, but the taxman still comes knocking when the evening falls. Now the next person says that the math is feeling fair, so I'm breathing out the taxes in the middle of the air. I'm paying with a flair, I'm paying with a smile. I haven't seen a rand in a long, long while. No more money for the size, no more silver, no more gold, just the story of a nation that's been bought and been sold. Yeah, 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 we pay our taxes to the SARS today, in a nil compensation style, I say. No cash, no credit, not a single rand, just the empty rhythm of a dry, dry land. Nil compensation, yeah, that is the fee, from the mountains of the Cape to the Zoutpansberg tree. Not a red cent, not a red cent, not a single rand, not a single rand, just nil, nothing. Not a Pretoria, we're square.
We're square. Like how that ended. That's a pretty good one. So can't the airlines provide food? They can, but the days of airlines giving two flying shakes about its passengers are long gone. When I flew to the Rugby World Cup in 2011, I was flying from Stuttgart, because I was based in Stuttgart, to London, and from London to South Africa. And what happened was we pulled away from the gate, and we got like 10 meters. If they hadn't pulled away, we could have got off the plane. 10 meters, and the plane stopped. I'm like, what happened? The engine quit? No. We spent over 3 hours sitting on that plane with German wings, I think it was, in Stuttgart, waiting to leave to go to London, because Heathrow, maybe it was Lufthansa, because it was Lufthansa, because there were high winds in London. 1,200 flights were delayed or canceled. We finally left 3.5 hours later, sitting on the plane that long. We landed Heathrow. We got to Heathrow. I didn't know this, but the baggage handlers go to bed. They shut down at 10:30 at night. What kind of international airport is this that they shut down baggage handlers? So the baggage handlers leaving. I managed to find someone because a lot of the passengers were coming from India, from China, from all over the world, didn't speak English for beans. And I found a guy and said, hey, can you help me get my bag? And he found my bag and he put it on the belt because it was in the back, and I got my bag. So then I left. I walked upstairs and I said, okay, what's going on here? My flight is delayed. I've missed my flight to South Africa already because they already left at like 8:30, and here it is 10:25. I got my bag now. I missed my flight by a couple hours. And so I went upstairs, and it's just chaos. Thousands of people milling around trying to get answers. All the desks are shutting down for the night. You know, the airlines are closing their desk to rebook flights. And so finally, this lady gets up on a piece of I know what it was. Before she did that, I went and got in a line. I found the hotel booking agent, and I stood in line, and then a couple people walked away. I was like the 50th person in line. They came back, and I said, what happened? All the hotels are full. I'm like, all the hotels are full. This is London. There's no way all the hotels in London are full. There are probably hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms tonight. There's no way they're full. So I went upstairs, and this lady from British Airways, which is the flight that I was getting on, she's up there, and she says, okay, she had a piece of paper, and she's talking to these people. She stands up in this stand in the middle of the room, and she says, all right, I've got a piece of paper here. You get reimbursed up to this amount of money, and yada, yada, yada. Go find yourself a hotel room. I got one of the piece of paper and looked how much they were supposed to reimburse. I think it was like 300 pounds per night for a hotel. I knew that the Intercontinental was right there at the terminal. I walked down to the Intercontinental. I asked if they had a room. It was 234 pounds for the night or something like that. I got a room, one of the last rooms they had. I stayed right there at the terminal. And then I went to bed after midnight, and I went to the desk at 5 when they opened in the morning to rebook my flight to South Africa. It was a disaster. There was no food, no water, no drinks, no help, nothing. They didn't even help people get their bags. Most of these people had their bags are trapped inside in the luggage area. They couldn't even get their bags and shower and clean up for the night. Airlines don't give a crap about you. You are a commodity at best. The days of airlines giving out wings to little kids are gone. The days of airlines carrying out people are gone. Very few airlines give a flying flip about anybody. And most of them don't have plans in place. I would just destroy the travel industry because I would completely revamp these airlines. You have to have teams at every airport where you operate who are on call, who are capable of addressing when a flight is delayed, when an aircraft crashes, when there's been a mechanical failure, when suddenly you're flooded with passengers or trapped there. You have to be prepared. They have no surge capacity. No, British Airways, no surge capacity. United, Delta, no surge capacity. Even in their terminals, they have nothing. They respond to every disaster as it unfolds. They're piss poor. They have no contingency plans whatsoever. And if they do, they're not obvious. It's atrocious. And now I'm seeing that my government doesn't have any contingency plans, doesn't brief the refugees on where they're supposed to be going, what they're supposed to do, and what to do in case of emergency, what an in-transit visa is, if you need one, what happens to your flight. They didn't brief them on anything. It's disgraceful. Unbelievable. No, the new stats come out, tomorrow, the 5th. Yeah, today's the 4th now. It's after midnight. Yes, they come out the 5th. Kasiki, stop getting okay, first off, why are you getting your anxiety up? The fact that more people go means that if you're going to be approved, you are further in the queue. You're closer to going. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I don't know why you're getting more anxiety. You should have less anxiety. Doesn't work that way, guy. Doesn't work that way. You can't see. This is why we're supposed to use U.S. carriers. Look at the cock up we got going on now in London. Is it true that more Americans are moving to South Africa than South Africa? No. Oh my gosh. All right, this guy's a troll. I won't give you a timeout, but you're a troll. You're pushing the limit here. Swamped out 38 is just a troll. 50% of my day is tier ridden, and now it's blank case page and just says under review. Okay, look, I can't help you any more than I've helped you. I can't erase your fears. I don't know what to tell you. Don't many times I've sat in an airport for 8 hours, pushed my jacket bag under my head, and just sleeping on the floor in the gate. Yeah, well, same here. Or sleeping on my duffel bag with my Kevlar helmet, my 9mm. Well, folks, as I've said many times, getting yourself stressed out over things, that doesn't help. Is that going to change your circumstances? No. Being upset, is that going to change your circumstances? No. This is why I've told you, stop with the refugee stuff. Put your thing in, wait for your call, move on with your life. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. Look, I'm just going to turn the chat off if it's going to turn into a woe is me session here in the chat, okay? All right. Now, I answered your question, Swamped Out, and you came back with the same stupid question a different way, and the same stupid question again. Enough. How are we doing here? 279 likes, a bit of super chat revenue. Okay. Yeah, well, that's just someone trying to be an ass, Karen. I'm sorry you had to go through it, particularly given your transportation challenges. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I mean, I'm not trying to tell people to stop being frustrated, but this is not the time to sit here and you know, and drag people down the chat. You know, I'm sorry. It's becoming a bit much. And frankly, I've given more blood than anyone in this program. More blood, more sweat equity, more time devoted to this than anyone. And I still get the same thing over and over again from people. It needs to stop. There was no program a year ago. You had no hope. So if you never get to come over, you never get to come over. If you get to come over, you get to come over. But you were offered nothing on February 6th last year. We're approaching the 1 year anniversary on Saturday. No, he doesn't confuse anything, Guy. Guy, he's trolling. He's trolling. Just stop engaging with him. Anyway, yeah, so, exactly. Anyway, I don't even know if I have any dislikes on this. I don't see that until after the video is over, so unless I go this way and do it. Let me see. I don't really care, to be honest. The dislikes are helpful, too. It fuels the algorithm. No dislikes on this so far. So, anyway. Because they're just losers. They have no life. They're pathetic. And that's why they do it. They just try to destroy people's leka mood. That's what it is. They're just sad. They're just sad people who have no life. And I don't feel bad for them, but some people probably do. Okay, the land claim, is that one still getting views? Not a lot, but some. Good morning, Martin Williams Bernard. What's going on? Yaku, how's it going? Yeah, so we got Steenhuisen coming up in an hour and a half. So, yep. Actually, yeah, an hour and a half. No, 2 hours. 2 hours. But I'll be up for that. So much for my nap. I was going to take a nap. But now I've got to stop and make a couple videos. So I've got to do that when I get done here. So, wow, man, it's 2.5 hours. I didn't realize that long. Dusty Corners, I like your approach. I don't know why people are panicking. Once you leave, you're safe. All these issues just bumps along the way. It's part and parcel of traveling. Exactly. Stay off my case. Exactly. Like an airport can't kill you. It's not nice, but not life-threatening. You're welcome, Rev FG. Yep. All right. So, yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. I've got to record a couple videos about the AGOA thing. What was the other one? I need to make a video about something. Oh, I need to write a letter for a tax exempt thing for somebody too. Jeez, it never ends for the Veterans Organization. Betting poll. Well, we can do a poll and see what's going to happen. Okay. Katrina evacuee support took over a shutdown factory and had 1,200 people sleeping in cots while the second hurricane raged. Yeah, there you go, Light Rain. Exactly. Didn't learn. Troll got taken out. That's one down. Don't learn. Learn the hard way. In fact, I might as well just ban this person from the channel. Yep, he's been timed out. Next time he'll be banned from the channel. Stay in South Africa. I didn't ask you to leave, dumbass. Swamped out. Stay in South Africa. I don't give a shit where you stay. You want to move to Mauritius? Good for you. You want to live in Lesotho? Good for you. You want to live in South Africa? Good for you. I really don't give a crap. Nobody cares where you want to stay. Honestly, nobody here cares. Troll elsewhere. Footsec. UBC. Oh, birthday. Why are you... Karen, don't stress out over that. Ian's been approved for 7 months and still waiting to go. You're welcome, Cecilia Kruger. I try. I try. I think Karen's in Gauteng somewhere, if I remember correctly. All right. Yeah, okay. There you go. So, see lots of ours coming up. We appreciate everything you do for us. Well, thank you, Misty, but not everybody does. You see the trolls come in here and try to disrupt the conversation and ruin a Lekka conversation, but that's okay. We had some nice songs. Hit 300 what? We hit 300 what, Monster Max? What are you talking about? We hit 300 what? What are you talking about? What is that? Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, it's the flights. That's what it was. The transient visas. Transient visas and John. It wasn't John. What was it? Oh, AGOA. So I make 2 videos. You're right. You're right. You're welcome, Peter Furry. He doesn't learn either. So. Oh, good. Mad Max just took care of it. Yep. No, asshole, Dogzilla. A troll is someone who disrupts a conversation intentionally. Stop being a dickhead. Stop being a dickhead. So, let me read to you about trolls. Okay. Abusive comments towards anyone. So, okay, I value discourse. I highly value, but I don't want or tolerate abuse. Moderators may use any of 3 actions: deleting messages, placing a user in a timeout, or hide a person on channel for bad behavior. Examples of bad behavior include, but are not limited to, abusive comments towards anyone. Don't conflate discord or disagreement with abuse. Abusive comments include slurs, name-calling, not in jest or as a result of good-natured ribbing, going both ways, but even in jest, this should be rare. Racist, discriminatory epithets, belittling other participants or the host. Abusive behavior, intentionally disrupting the flow of the chat to distract or diminish the quality of the discourse among participants or the host. This is what Dogzilla does, and you're on the verge of being banned forever for being a dickhead. And then the Swamped Out guy's doing the same thing, intentionally disrupting the flow to distract or diminish the quality of discourse. Intentionally interfering with the stream by trolling with wholly unrelated comments. For example, a stream with Marlies, like Marlies, my folk Marlies, about being an au pair is not the time for comments about U.S. politicians. Such behavior ruins the event for all and will not be tolerated. Taunting or bullying viewers, chat participants, inappropriate sexual relationship chat should also be removed. Excessive, distracting behavior, Dogzilla. Excessive, distracting behavior, attention seeking. There you go. So that's why people are getting timed out. All right? People just don't learn. I don't need those people here. I've tolerated them because I'm a generous person. But if you're going to be a dickhead, go somewhere else. Hey, like them apples, Will. All right. Hey, Hannes, what's up? I'm shutting down. You came late, buddy. Sorry. All right, Monster Max. I'll look for it. No, I didn't see any super chat from you. You had one super chat earlier. Earnings, let's see. Super chat. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that meant nothing. Someone discussed in the chat. So do you want me to show that? It means nothing. It means nothing. Here it is right here. I've got it up. This is what your super chat was about. Tommy Piggott says something completely unrelated, which is not helpful. South Africa's recent decision to expel Israel's top diplomat is another example of its poor foreign policy choices. That's fine. Expelling a diplomat for calling out the ANC party's ties to Hamas and other anti-Semitic radicals prioritize grievances politics over the good of South African citizens. Well, that's not exactly accurate for what they said. I mean, that may be the truth, but that's not what the public is going to see. So Tommy Piggott needs to clean up his description of what's going on. It's not particularly helpful, so that's why I didn't bring it up. But that's the super chat you sent. Is there another one? There's no other super chat here from you. I didn't see another one, Mad Max. Right, Light Rain. It's psychological warfare from hate wankers. That's what it is. You're spot on. Okay? No, it's okay, Mad Max. Take care of what you got to take care of. Okay. Hey, Tinky. Yeah, I didn't get to it when you first published it, yeah, so, but I did see your super chat. Thank you for that. All right, that's it, folks. It's horrible that people are so nasty. Sorry that you have to deal with this, and anyone else has been trolled by someone. Kindness costs nothing. People, well, they're just self-pleasuring hate wankers. They're sitting there with their firm grip on themselves. You know, it's sad. It's really sad. They have no life. It's what they do. Some of them get paid to do it. The list of banned retards is growing on this channel, and there's a couple here tonight that have put themselves on the verge. Dogzilla, you've been tolerated for far too long. And you're not banned yet, but boy, you are. I mean, I should have banned you a long time ago, but you're not banned. All right. Anyway, thanks, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you here in an hour and a half after I make a couple videos and get no sleep again. Grace, someone must have gifted you a membership. Yeah, the bugger off bunny. We'll save that for later. All right. Cheers, everybody. Be well. See you shortly. Actually, I should probably link to that, huh? Let me see. No, it's psychological warfare is what it is. Goodbye. Linziki, that's buy. That's the wrong buy. That's purchase. I like, okay, hang on a second. Yeah. Just teasing you. I'm correct, but I'm just teasing you. Redirect. There we go. Steenhuisen. Let's see what Steenhuisen's announcement is. Let's see if we all got punked, if he's not really going to leave. No, it's not a link. You'll be automatically redirected there, Jules. That's set up so you can it'll just refresh it. And then when I go live, it'll be there. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And be sure to hit the like button. Okay? Right. You know, there's an easier way to do this. I can simply turn off the chat. You know that? Some of my viewers don't mind me doing that. Sometimes I turn off the chat when people act like asses. So, yeah, that's always an option. Cheers.